Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about this process of bedding in a new property. Now, most people, when they get started in the serviced accommodation industry, they really want to make a lot of money right away, and that's a very understandable position to want to get to. However, what I would always encourage people to do, and this is what I do myself, even as an experienced host, for every new property that I get, they go through this period of bedding in. So what I encourage people to do, rather than immediately looking at a profit-centered approach, is to flip that on its head and look for a review-centered approach, particularly for the first few months of a listing. And this can take several months, even up to a year, to really establish. Now the problem is you've got a brand new property without any review scores. Now I know, and we're going to talk about this in other videos, that pushing direct bookings, where you're pushing people to your own website that book directly with you, so you're not paying the service charge for Airbnb, Booking.com, that's incredibly profitable, and that's definitely what you want to be doing. But to start with, most people getting new into this industry will want to rely on Booking.com and Airbnb, at least to begin with. And if you've got a new property with 0 reviews, it's very, very hard for people to want to come and pay a lot of money to stay at that house. So what you need is good reviews early on, very quickly. So you have to enter this process called bedding in. Now what I do is I work out what the break-even point for my property is, and I price it at that point. Remember, I'm not trying to make profit here. All I'm trying to do is bring people through the door as quickly as possible and encourage a 5-star review. Now, if people are getting amazing value, that's one of the things on Airbnb that you get rated for, they're much more likely to give you that 5 stars. And your first 5 reviews are absolutely crucial in this industry. If you start off with your first 2-3 reviews being 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, your property is dead. It's dead in the water, and it's incredibly difficult to build that review score up to around the 5-star limit. Any property that you have that has the 5 stars will continue to book well, and once it starts generating good bookings and good reviews, you can raise the price and raise the price and raise the price over a period of time, and then you can start really making the money that you're looking for. But you're not going to be able to do that straight away. You're going to need the good reviews first. So get your good 5-star reviews, or if you're on Booking.com, 10 out of 10 or as close as you possibly can, as quickly as you can. And one of the best ways you can do that is by your pricing strategy. So I immediately price a brand new listing really low, enough to cover my bills, cover my costs, cover the cleaning costs, etc., and make sure that you get people through the door quickly and encourage good reviews. Now, the other thing that you'll often get with a new listing is things that you've missed. Now, this happens all the time, even to an experienced host like myself. It could be as basic as forgetting a bottle opener, forgetting a corkscrew, things like that people pick up on, these minor details. But they'll forgive you for it if they get amazing value, and they'll let you know. The major things you certainly should have in place already, but the minor things that you may or may not have missed, people will forgive you because they're getting good value. So this is one of the other benefits for pricing your property really low, is that people will look over the fact that you've got some things that aren't quite right with the property. And if your communication is good and you fix them as quickly as you can for these guests, then you've already tested the property for any major faults that might be there. You've fixed all the minor issues. You build up a really good review score really quickly, and then you can start gradually raising the price, raising the price, raising the price. And it's that process that allows you to build up the profile of a property and generate the income that you really want. So going straight back to basics, price low to get people through the door quickly, get the good reviews as quick as you can, and then you want to build and build and build on that listing over time. And once you've got many, many, many 5-star reviews, it therefore merits a much, much higher price. But do not just price your property at a really high price to start with. Even if it's in the summer, even if it's a peak high demand season, you want to get people in there cheaply to guarantee your good 5-star reviews. Now, this could take quite a lot of time to build up, so you want to factor that in for the setup of your property. Make allowances for the fact that for the first month or so, you're really not going to be bringing in the sort of money that you'd be expecting. You want some extra cash there, ready to pay for the mortgages, the gas, the electricity, whatever you need for the first couple of months once it's listed, because you know and you expected and you've planned for this property to not make the kind of money that you would like to start with. Just make allowances for that. and then it can really allow you to focus on this time wisely and building those good reviews. Now, one thing that experienced hosts will know is unfortunately not everyone that stays with you actually leaves a review. People might have booked through Airbnb or booking.com. They've come, they've stayed, you priced it cheaply in order to get them through the door quickly, but they don't leave a review. So you really want to make sure that doesn't happen. So one thing that I do, and I'd encourage you to do for all of your first guests, is to reach out to them on the phone. Actually pick up the phone, don't be lazy, call them, ask them how their stay is. Are you having a good time? Is there anything you need? Is there anything you've missed? I'm here for you, let me help you. This is great customer service. You should always give great customer service anyway, but you really want to go the extra mile for the first few people that are staying with you in order to get this review. And then when they check out, make sure you call them again. Hope you had a great time. Hope you have a nice trip home. If you do have a couple of minutes, it'd be really great, and we'd really appreciate it if you guys could leave us a positive review. It's as simple as that, and that stops that problem. And if you do that and you make that extra effort, then people will review you and they will be more encouraged to give a 5-star review, even if there was a couple of minor problems, because you'd have discussed it, you'd have jumped on it, and you'd have fixed it already. So that's a great process to go through to allow that and to make sure that everyone that stays with you reviews you. And that's what you really need when you get started. As you build your portfolio, as you build your profile, as your listing gets more and more reviews, it becomes less important that every single guest reviews you, but certainly do this at the very first 5 or 6, up to even 10 people that stay with you to build up a really good review score very quickly. And one thing to make allowance for is how long it actually takes to start generating bookings for these properties. Now, bigger properties will take longer to get bookings than smaller ones. A smaller 1-bedroom apartment will get bookings relatively often at a relatively short lead booking time. It might be as little as 1 to 2 weeks before you start getting your first guests in. Now, a larger property like the one that I'm in today is 6 or 7 bedrooms, sleeps 14 people. This has a much longer lead booking time. It's usually around 3 months. So if I listed my property today, brand new, such as this one, it might take up to 3 months before I get my first booking in. So allow for that in your budget. When you do set up these properties, make sure you have a time scale that you're willing to pay for, that you've got covered, that takes the stress off, where you can cover your bills, your electricity, etc., your mortgage payments, whatever you need. And for a big one, it could be up to 3 months before you start getting these guests coming in, giving you the reviews. When you price them cheaper, like I was encouraging people to do at your break-even point, you vastly reduce the lead booking time. You'll get people that book much quicker than that, and therefore you get your review score up quickly. But make sure that you do allow for this lead booking time and tailor it to the size of the property. Remember, the bigger the property, the longer the lead booking time for your guests. The smaller the property, the shorter that time is. So you can get a smaller place up and running with good reviews much quicker than you can a bigger place. It just takes that much longer to start getting people coming and visiting you. So where possible, you want to be able to factor this into your refurb and your setup time scale. So I know for a big property like this, it will take up to 3 months before I start getting my first guests in. I also know that in this industry, in the serviced accommodation industry in the UK, you'll make the vast majority of your profit during the summer months. During the months from around June to the end of September, October time is when you're going to be at your busiest. It's when you can price your highest because it's the UK summer holidays. That's when there's the highest demand. So factor that in if you can. What you ideally don't want to do, and I've made this mistake myself, is get a property during the refurb process in the summer and then try and list it at the end of the summer when you're hitting the quieter period in the UK. You've already missed that window of opportunity to make the most amount of profit that you possibly can. And now you're trying to get guest people in during the quieter time, so it takes even longer to build up your reviews, and it's an even longer process before you can start making your money. So what you really want to be doing, if you can possibly plan for this, you want to be making sure your purchases are landing around December, January time. If you've got a large refurb setup process that you need to go through, you want to do that from January through to around March, if you can, ideally just those 3 months. And then from March onwards, you want to be building up the review score for your property. That gives you the time to get the credibility for your listing, to get the reviews that you need, so that when the summer months arrive, you're not charging it at break-even point. You've now bedded the property in properly. You've got the review scores that you need. You can start charging what you really want. And now that you've got these reviews on your profiles, you can suddenly justify that higher price. And then you can make the money that you're expecting. And remember, I've made this mistake myself, so you won't be the only one. If you can possibly allow for it, this is exactly what you want to do. So remember guys, take this review-centered approach, charge really low prices to get people through the door quickly, build up your review score as quickly as you can, Build towards the summer. Once you've properly bedded your listing in and you've got those amazing outstanding reviews, you can then gradually raise your prices and start charging what you really want and maximizing your profit during this time. Don't forget to factor in the average lead booking time for your property. The larger the property, the bigger that lead booking time is. The smaller the property is, the smaller it is. So it takes much longer to properly bedding a larger house than it does a smaller house. And plan that in if you possibly can for when your purchase lands, for when your rental agreement starts, for any amount of works that need doing on the property, any refurbishment, factor it all in, plan it in advance where possible so that you can allow for this bedding in process. And don't forget to budget at least a couple of months for bigger properties for this time when you're not going to have many people come and stay with you. A lot of people forget that last stage and don't budget for it, and they start to panic when they don't have enough bookings and just lower the price across the board forever. So don't panic. It just takes time to bed in suitable properties. I hope you found that useful, guys. Like and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you soon.